All right, today we're going to dive into a hidden network inside your body that's working tirelessly, 24/7 behind the scenes. It's a system that's so crucial that without it, well, things would go wrong fast. But chances are you probably barely ever think about it. So let me just start with a question for you. When you think about all the big name systems in your body, circulatory, nervous, respiratory, which one do you think gets the least amount of credit? Which one is the most underrated?
Well, what if I told you there's a system that acts as your body's plumber, managing liters of fluid every single day, and as its top security guard, your first line of immune defense? It's an absolute powerhouse that most of us have barely even heard of.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this unsung hero, we first have to talk about a problem. A problem created by one of the body's biggest superstars, the circulatory system. Turns out its pipes are, kind of leaky.
It all starts when your heart pumps blood out at a really high pressure. It travels through these big arteries, which then branch out into smaller arterioles. And finally, it reaches this massive web of tiny capillaries. And this is where the leak starts, because these capillary walls are incredibly thin. We're talking just a single layer of cells, and they've got little pores in them.
So because of that high pressure and those porous walls, a huge amount of fluid actually gets pushed out of your blood and into the tissues all around it. And when I say huge, I mean it. We're talking about 20 liters every single day. That's like 10 of those giant 2-liter soda bottles of fluid just leaking into your body's tissues.
Now, the system is pretty smart. Most of that fluid, about 17 liters worth, gets pulled right back into the capillaries almost immediately. But you probably noticed the math there. That's not all of it.
And that leads us to a really important question. What in the world happens to those leftover 3 liters? I mean, if that fluid just stayed in your tissues, you'd swell up like a balloon day after day. Something's got to clean up the mess, right?
And that, my friends, brings us to our hero, the lymphatic system. It is the body's dedicated professional cleanup crew, and it's perfectly designed to handle this exact problem.
So, why does this leak even happen? Well, you can think of it like a constant tug of war. On one side, you've got the blood pressure. That's the hydrostatic force, and it's always pushing fluid out. On the other side, you have proteins in the blood creating a colloid osmotic force that's trying to pull fluid back in. The catch is, the push is always just a little bit stronger than the pull, which means some fluid always gets left behind.
And this right here is exactly why the lymphatic system is so vital. If for some reason it fails to collect that extra fluid, it builds up in your tissues. And that causes a type of swelling that you might have heard of called edema.
So how does this cleanup crew actually do its job? Let's take a look at its amazing structure. It's basically this incredible one-way superhighway.
It all kicks off with these amazing little things called lymphatic capillaries. Now, unlike blood capillaries, which form a big loop, these guys are dead ends, just little tubes sitting out in your tissues. Their walls are made of these overlapping cells that act like tiny one-way swinging doors. So when fluid pressure builds up on the outside, the doors swing open and let the fluid rush in. But once it's inside, the pressure pushes the doors shut, trapping the fluid. It is an absolutely brilliant design.
So once that fluid is inside, it gets a new name. It's called lymph. It starts its big journey in those tiny capillaries, which then start merging together to form bigger lymphatic vessels. And just like your veins, these vessels have little one-way valves inside them to keep the lymph moving forward, never backward. These vessels keep merging into even larger trunks, and eventually all that collected fluid gets funneled into 2 main ducts. And where's the final stop for all this collected lymph? Well, it gets returned directly back into your bloodstream. It all dumps back into some large veins right there at the base of your neck, completing the whole cycle and keeping your body's fluid levels perfectly in balance. But hold on, because managing fluid, that's only half the story. The lymphatic system has a whole other job that's just as critical. It's the highway and the headquarters for your immune system. You see, as the lymph is traveling through all those vessels, it doesn't just go straight back to the blood. Oh no, it has to pass through a series of security checkpoints, and these are your lymph nodes. You've got about 600 of these small oval organs all over your body, and their job is to act like biological filters, scanning the lymph for any sign of trouble, like bacteria or viruses. And inside each lymph node, it's a highly organized operation, almost like a military base with different units. You've got the outer cortex, that's B-cell territory. Then you've got the deeper paracortex, that's where the T cells hang out. And these are 2 different types of elite immune soldiers.
When a bad guy, a pathogen, is detected in the lymph flowing through, these are the cells that get the call to launch a targeted attack.
So where do these immune cells even come from? Well, your lymphoid organs are split into two groups. You've got the primary organs, your bone marrow, and your thymus. Think of these as the training camps, where your immune cells, your lymphocytes, are born and taught how to fight. Then you have the secondary organs, places like your lymph nodes, your spleen, your tonsils. These are the deployment zones, the front lines where the trained cells go to do their jobs.
And this defense network is huge. It's not just the lymph nodes. You've got other major players too. Your spleen, for instance. It filters your blood, not your lymph, checking for any invaders that made it into your circulation. Your tonsils form a protective ring right at the entrance of your throat, and then you have this specialized tissue called MALT, which stands guard along all the wet surfaces inside your body, like your gut and your airways. It's a really comprehensive defense grid.
Okay, so let's tie all this together. Why does knowing about this amazing, hidden system actually matter in our everyday lives?
Well, have you ever been sick and had a doctor gently feel the sides of your neck? They're checking your lymph nodes. When those nodes get enlarged or swollen, it's a direct physical sign that your immune system has been activated and is in the middle of a fight right there in that specific region. It's a really powerful clinical clue.
So in the end, the lymphatic system is this silent, absolutely essential link between your circulatory system and your immune defense. It's both the plumber and the security guard. It's managing your body's fluid to keep you from swelling up, while at the same time serving as the command center for protecting you from disease. It really is a true unsung guardian.
It's just an amazing, elegant system, working away nonstop, completely out of sight. And it kind of makes you wonder, now that you know all about this hidden network, what other vital systems in our bodies might we be taking for granted every single day?